The wind howled through the cracks of the prison cell, like blades scraping across scarred skin. Elias curled up on the freezing concrete floor, arms wrapped around his bruised ribs, blood still dripping from the corner of his mouth. He had no strength left to groan. Tonight, he had been beaten again, not for a new crime, but because he had shielded another inmate from a kick meant to break him. Trying to be a hero? Brent Halder growled, striking him for the 5th time. "I'll make you regret staying." Alive, Elias said nothing. His eyes were wide open in the darkness, staring at nothing but cold. The prison punished the body, but Halder, he imprisoned the soul. Elias had been just 24 when he went to prison. A stolen car, a crash, a man dead. He hadn't meant to kill anyone, but death didn't care about intention. At the trial, the victim's family looked at him like he was a monster, and he believed they were right. He deserved punishment. Prison didn't just come with bars. It came with eyes, with humiliation, with men like Halder who needed no reason to strike, only silence. Year 1, Elias fought back. Year 2, he withdrew. By year 3, the fire inside him was almost gone. One cold, rainy day, an older inmate, Noah, handed Elias a worn-out book, the Bible. "It won't heal every wound," Noah said, "but it might remind you you're still human," Elias read. At first, because he had nothing else. But slowly, the words seeped into the darkest corners of his being. "Forgive your enemies," he scoffed. "That's for saints." He was a killer, but night after night, he kept reading. He started writing letters to his mother, who never visited. To his sister, whom he once abandoned in her tears. To himself, confessing all he could never say aloud. He apologized, never expecting a reply. But every letter lifted a weight. Forgiveness wasn't forgetting. It was laying it down and walking forward. He forgave the inmate who stabbed him with a sharpened spoon. Forgave the one who laughed while he bled. But one man remained unforgiven. Brent Halder, the nightmare that never let him wake. The man who didn't just bruise flesh but suffocated hope. "You read that Bible?" Halder once sneered. "Think. God listens to trash like you?" Elias had once believed God didn't listen. But every time he reread, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted," tears came. Forgiving Halder? Impossible, unjust, undeserved. In his 18th year, Elias was granted clemency for good behavior. He left prison with a small bag, a battered Bible, and one question: "Who am I now?" He rented a tiny room near a church. Worked construction. No one knew he had been in prison. He never said. Each morning, he prayed for those who hurt him all. But one night, while wiping down pews, the pastor asked, "Have you forgiven everyone?" Elias froze. "Almost." The pastor nodded. "The last one is the heaviest, but it frees you the most." That night, Elias prayed harder than ever. Then he searched the name, Brent Halder. An address appeared. Closer than expected, a small, peeling house. The door opened slowly. Halder, now gray, trembling, his eyes clouded. "Who are you?" he asked. "The man you beat for 18 years, Elias said. Halder went silent. "I didn't come for revenge. I came to say, I forgive." "You?" Halder let out a bitter laugh, then broke into tears. "I don't deserve." "No one does," Elias replied. "But I don't want to carry it anymore." They sat together on the creaking wooden steps, leaves rustling at their feet. The space between former executioner and former victim now held only the fading light of evening. Elias looked at Halder's hands, thin, shaking, calloused, once wielding pain, now gripping the bench like it was the last thing anchoring him to life. Neither said much. They didn't need to. Every silence was a word once left unsaid. Elias no longer saw Brent Halder as a monster in uniform. He saw a man lonely, broken, buried under regrets no one had ever taught him how to lay down. Halder whispered, voice cracked, "You're the first to knock on my door in 5 years. I thought I'd die, and no one would know my name. Elias gently touched his shoulder. God knows. And he still remembers your name, even when the world forgets. Halder bowed his head, tears streaming down wrinkled cheeks. And Elias, for the first time in his life, no longer felt like a prisoner. He felt like a man who had given freedom. As Elias stepped off the old porch, the sky was painted in soft gold. The wind carried the scent of dry grass, and each step on the way back felt lighter than air. Not because Halder had changed, not because he cried, but because Elias had finally laid down what he carried for nearly 20 years, the pain he had never dared name. On the bus ride back to the city, he didn't look in the mirror, didn't need to revisit the past. He closed his eyes and felt warmth in his chest. Not from sunlight, but from the forgiveness he had chosen. Not because the other deserved it, but because he himself needed to live. True freedom isn't handed down by a court, or opened by a steel gate, or printed on a clemency form. It's born in the moment someone chooses love over hatred, release over revenge. And in that moment, Elias was no longer the imprisoned, he was the redeemed. If you've carried pain for too long, remember, no one can force you to forgive today. But every day you hold it in is another day you build bars around your own heart. Share this story. Comment the name of the person you're choosing to forgive. And follow Faith Light Stories as we walk out of the prison within.